He did not start at the top. He started in 1985 as a sales engineer, उसके बाद में marketing manager and then product manager. Step by step, role by role, he reached. और एक बार कभी इनको किसी ने बोला कि आप सेल्स में अच्छे नहीं हैं. You know what our guest did? He went out, he got books. इन्होंने वो बुक्स पढ़ी, लीडरशिप के बारे में सीखा, and in 9 months he was the best performer in that room. So today evening, our guest is Subramanian Srinivasan. He is having a vast experience of working in national companies from Swiss, German, Italian. He has now the founder of CEOMITRA, where he gets in the European companies and establish it over here. He is the founder of CEO Nativ, CEO Pitch Hai. He is the founder of CEO as a Trainshala also. He is an organizational change maker, a happiness coach, a ICF credited coach. He is BNI Area Director, Northeast Mumbai. So please put your hands together and welcome Subramanian Srinivasan on Behind the Title, episode number 9. And we are so glad to have you on our show, sir.
Hey, thank you, Upanshu. So nice of you to have give me that introduction. Okay, I'm not as I mean, you are humbled when you hear so much from someone else, but call me as Subuu. That's how my friends, my colleagues, people who work for me, they all call me as Subuu. That's how I'm known. Yeah, great to be here.
Lovely. So I'll let you know, Behind the Title is a show which airs every Wednesday on Instagram Live, and यहाँ पे हम बात करते हैं उन लीडर्स के बारे में जिन्होंने वो मुकाम हासिल किया है, पर उस मुकाम को हासिल करने के लिए उन्होंने बहुत सारी हार्डशिप्स, challenges और struggles फेस करे हैं. And I know your life is also one of them. So we welcome you on the show, sir, today.
Thank you so much. I'm loving to share some of my challenges and some of my failures and success. You know, without failure, you don't have success. I'm very happy to share.
So to start with, you have built 3 companies from zero. Now, what's that one small decision that can make or break a company?
Yeah, so all the 3 companies, obviously, in my journey has been multinational companies, okay? And I joined them, one of them I joined when they had already bought over an Indian company. They had already hired some people over there, the HR head, the project head, and then I came in as a sales head. And I don't want to name the company, but they spent tons of money in acquiring an Indian company. But there was no match of the Swiss culture and the Indian team that was there, nor was there a fit between the Swiss product and the Indian product. Okay. So India is a completely different market, and Indians think different, they buy different. It's not, and I was part of an engineering company, but it's the same for McDonald's, for example. McDonald's also came in, but they failed initially, and then they realized, no, they need to make things to the Indian taste. Okay. So I think culture, fitment, if you ask me, and people, these are the 2 critical things that make a company successful. And that's what I always work on. You know? So for me, culture is very important. And if you ask me what is culture, culture is what people do when no one is watching you. Yeah, it's not what you do when people are watching you. You know, that is behavior and conditioned behavior, right? But culture is something that, like being ethical even in a company. Okay, I used to say no to a lot of weights and measures inspectors who would come and ask for money from us because we were in the weighing business. So being able to say no and still run the business effectively, there is a way to do it, right? So the second thing I think is about people. When the people, I always think that when people are taken out of the company, so what do you have left? You have a great building, you have beautiful products, you have furniture, you may have software, but the soul of the company is not there, which is people, right? So I've always had the opportunity to work with some of the best people in these companies that I work for. So for me, people and culture, I think these are two things that are very critical for a success of a company.
Let's build on that thought. क्योंकि you have mentored thousands of entrepreneurs. Now, what's that one thing which, under your guidance, they can learn?
Okay, I wouldn't say I must correct that. I haven't mentored thousands of them, but I've worked along with thousands of entrepreneurs. Okay. I mean, in BNI, for example, in my region, we have 800 entrepreneurs whom I help. Okay. And I meet them day in and day out. And most of them, what I've noticed is they are extremely potential. And I always say that most people work on capacity. Okay. When I say capacity, I like to explain that to the people around. Most of us, whether we are a student, whether we are an entrepreneur, whether we become a general manager in a company, okay, we work with time constraint. We think that this is how much I can do in this time. Okay, this is how much I can do with this knowledge. Okay, this is how much qualification I have. So I believe this is what I will get. So these are actually mental limitations, and that's what I say. You work on capacity. But just start thinking, how can you move from capacity to potential? Okay. Now, what is potential? Potential is what you can do when all constraints are removed and you start writing down on a piece of paper, what if I have no constraint at all? मतलब मेरे पास बहुत पैसे हैं, मेरे पास बहुत आदमी हैं, मेरे पास बहुत सारे नॉलेज भी है, मेरे साथ बहुत सारे मैनेजर्स हैं जो मेरे साथ कोलैबोरेशन करने के लिए रेडी है. So if that thought process sets in, you create a plan which is your potential actually, because your mind is able to think it. And I believe that if your mind can think it, then it is achievable. I mean, some example that I can give is, let's say the Infosys, founder Narayan Murthy. I think he started so small, and I was reading one of his articles where he said the first 7 years they struggled. Literally, they had no sales. And then after that came what happened now. Okay, but they started thinking about what potential is available outside. And one thing I have noticed is when you work on your potential, the whole world also works for you. Something happens, and I'd like to share a story here with your permission, Upanshu.
No, please go ahead. No
so there was a time when I started my own company when I was about 32 years. Okay, and I took up distributorship of a German company called Bizerba. And the moment we started, I realized that this one single product, it had good volume, of course, but with this one single product, I really won't be able to really manage. And then I started thinking, how am I going to service this? Because this product had to be installed across India. And then one fine morning, about 3 or 4 service engineers from my earlier company called me and say, "Sir, we want to join you because we're not happy in the current company where we are working. Okay, things have changed a lot." And they just came over. Some of them even worked without salaries for 3 or 4 months. So when I started thinking potential, okay, something else happened and people started getting into it. And then we ran that company for quite some time. I mean, 18 months. At the end of 18 months, I ran out of money, completely zero money. And then I was thinking, what happened to these 18 people? What would I tell them now that I have no money? What would I tell them? Right. And that's when I got a call in the evening when I was sitting and contemplating from Matthias Harsh, who was the new CEO of Bizerba. And he said, "I'm coming to Singapore, Subuu. I want to drop in and see what you're doing." And I actually borrowed 10,000 rupees from my sister to entertain him and take him around when he was here. We had to make sure that he's comfortable. I'm talking about almost 25 years back. Okay. So he came, he saw everything, he saw the connections, he saw the people, he saw our potential. Okay. And he said, "You guys are doing such a wonderful job. What can I do for you?" Wow. And this is the humility of very great leaders, who continuously ask, "What can I do for you?" Today, I always ask people, "How can I help you?" When I first call I say, "How can I help you?" And that's something that I've learned, to be able to give something back all the time. All right. And I said, "I need 100,000 euro." He looked at me as though I've gone mad. He said, "What? Distributor को पैसे कौन देता है दुनिया में?" आप तो distributor हो, you have to do business and get your money. Then I showed him all my figures, and this is where honesty helps. Being ethical helps. I shared him all the figures. At the end of it, he said, Subbu, I understand where you are. You built a market share. We don't want to lose that market share. Let me go and back. And then he went back. And believe me, had it been another one more month, I would have had to close down. I absolutely had no money. I'd have to go back to my job. I would have asked my 18 people to look for jobs and so on. But he called and said, can I buy your company? And my equity was just 1 lakh. And I could sell this company for a good 3.6 crores. Okay. Uh, I could retain all my people. I gave them bigger jobs. They got bigger salaries. Some of them got cars. Okay, I got a global career. What I'm just trying to say is that if you are ethical, if you are honest to what you're doing, you can move from capacity to potential. But you must dream big. And success always happens at the last mile. So my recommendation to all the listeners would be, if your heart is telling you that you're doing something big, dream big and live up to your potential. अपनी जिंदगी में एक ही जिंदगी है, जो करना है करना चाहिए, ये जिंदगी में करना चाहिए. Somebody saying you got 7 lives, somebody fooling you tremendously. So you better achieve what you want in this life and make sure it's an amazing thing that you leave behind legacy.
That's a powerful perspective. Now, I would like to ask the audience over here कि आप लोगों में से काफी ऐसे हैं जो अभी कुछ नया अपना लॉन्च करना चाहते हैं. तो आज हमारे सामने पिच है कि सीईओ बैठे हैं जो एक्चुअली आप जैसे फाउंडर्स को हेल्प करते हैं इन्वेस्टर्स लाने में. तो अगर आपके पास कोई क्वेश्चन है तो प्लीज कमेंट में आप टाइप करिए. Subramanian sir will be very happy to answer that question, and let's move to the next one meanwhile. So you have worked with the German, the Swiss, and the Italian companies from 27 years, right, sir?
Yeah, correct.
One experience which you want to share which actually demarcates from the Indian companies.
Absolutely. I think structure and discipline is what I think is the most. We are far more intelligent, okay, than all of these people. We are far, far more intelligent. We are very hardworking also. But sometimes, if you look at a European company, if you just go around there, okay, you'll see everybody's quiet, focused on their work. They're not looking here and there, absolutely focused. And when you're focused like that, you achieve a lot in a short time. We make a lot of noise, but our productivity is less. They don't make noise, but they build music. All right, that is how they work. And Fridays at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, their entire office is empty. Whereas here we work on Saturdays also, but still our productivity is less. If you look at, one thing I'll tell you, my first visit to Hamburg, I landed in Hamburg, and my boss, he very smilingly said, "Come, I'll show you something." So we crossed the road, and then he said, "Look, this is a construction site of a very large building that is coming up." And believe me, I was trying to look at where are the people. Okay, I'm used to seeing hundreds of people in one construction site of a building. Okay, there were hardly 10 to 12 which I had to search. Okay, and those two were running machines. And they are building that site, and I'm sure they are faster than what we are doing. Of course, now I think builders like Hiranandani and some of the others are doing. I live in a Hiranandani building, so I know they do a pretty good job. But I'm just saying that the clearly demarcation is a structure. Like even in their work, they use tools. In fact, today there are so many AI tools. At this age, I also learned a lot of AI tools, and I'm employing. A lot of my work has speeded up almost 3 times because of Claude and ChatGPT. Okay, I use these two tools extensively. So I think there's a lot to learn from them. Again, there is a difference between the German, the Italians, and the Swiss. The Swiss are very, very humane. Okay, so during the pandemic, I was working with them during the pandemic. There was nothing to do sitting at home. I did a lot of my coaching certification, but not €1 of Swiss euro generated. Okay, Swiss franc money generated. But they paid me 100% of my money. Okay, salaries were being credited on dot. the Germans are more, I would say, target oriented. Okay, they are really, really goal oriented. I mean, they would change track the moment they see that things are not happening. They change track. They are more trustworthy as compared to, I would say, Italians. So that's my experience. Okay, I don't know, it could be wrong, but this is my personal experience. That it's fun to work with them. I've enjoyed really, really working with them, and that's one of the reasons why I used to always feel that, yeah, I wish I could speak their language. Okay, and I did I did learn German, but I didn't do it seriously in 11th and 12th. I was doing a lot of musty outside, not being a serious student. But today, when I look back, I think having learned a foreign language would have meant a lot, and that's why I set up Native, which is a foreign language institute, which teaches German even to CEOs and CXOs, engineers. A lot of them are studying with us, German especially now. So I think the structure and discipline is what I would say stands out.
Beautifully described, sir. And sir, we have few questions which are popping on the screen. Let's take those questions first. Somebody asked us कि the stronger problem is demand and transport capacity exist at the same time, but the information, timing, approval and execution are poorly coordinated.
Yes, correct. So I will like to share this with an example. Okay, uh, when I was working with GIBAM, we used to make modular furniture for factories, organized retail stores. So we had a store in Big Bazaar in Assam. Okay, and normally all organized retail, they are in a high pressure. They really work under high pressure. Their store is open on a certain day, and they are given only 20 days because the rentals are very, very high, right?
Okay.
So they have to open it in the shortest possible time. So they come up and say, hey, here are the orders and you have to deliver this. And our factories are working overnight, right? Now, the orders are there and the transport is also possible. Okay. So we ship the goods. All right. Now the goods reach there and I still remember at 1:30 in the night, I get a call from the head of the store. Okay. To say that your people are here, but your dimensions are totally different and none of them is working, is fitting, and I need this day after tomorrow is our opening. How are you going to do this? And I mean, please understand the project heads can lose their jobs if it doesn't happen because they have called a chief guest. Some celebrity will be coming to cut the ribbons and all that kind of thing, right? So my guy sitting there. Now that is where authority plays very important. You need to give authority to people, not to keep everything. I do one of the things I do as Marshall Goldsmith certified coach is to teach people how to delegate. How to listen. These are things, but delegation here is extremely important because that boy didn't have first money with him. Okay, to do something locally. He could have bought some material locally, adjusted some stuff like carpent. It is like carpentry work, okay, but that also requires a lot of effort. But he was not empowered. He was not delegated. He was like, I don't know what to do. And then the blame went to the factory manager. The factory manager said, look, it's not me. The information that came to me from sales was this, and I have made up according to that. Okay. Now the sales guy, it comes from the sales guy's head now. The sales guy says, hey, I think everything was right, but the client did not give me the right information. Okay. So here's where I think the answer to the question that, someone has asked, we need to lay a process down very, very strictly. Okay. If you put in a process in place where every stakeholder really knows what they are supposed to do, 90% of problems in companies are due to process missing. Okay. Even if people fail, the process takes over, right? People cannot be absolutely perfect all the time because we are humans and we need to have that innovation. We need to have that, ability to think differently, and so on. But process should not fail. So once you have set a process, I think this problem will get solved. So in your company, please go ahead and get proper processes laid out. Yeah.
Very well answered, sir. And there is one more question which is there on the screen कि मैं 10th क्लास में हूँ बट मुझे कोई बिजनेस करना चाहता हूँ तो आप क्या बता सकते हैं कौन सा बिजनेस राइट होगा? So this
So first of all, I want to encourage you. there are a lot of people, a lot of young boys or kids or girls who have successfully built entrepreneurship at that age. Okay. In fact, I'm a part of Early Seed Ventures where we raise funds for people. We also do boot camps. And in Manipal Institute of Engineering, there is a student who I think in his first year, a little bit older than you, of course. I think he must have been about, I think, 18 or 19. He came up with an idea and we helped him. We built an incubator around him and the idea got really bought by investors. Okay, he had two good investors coming from us, and he got invested. Now, how do you do it? Uh, what is a startup? Okay, you should know this. What is a startup? A startup is actually an a problem in the market. Okay, somewhere it could be health related problem, it could be travel related issue, it could be education related issue. A single problem which you encounter again and again repeatedly, okay, and the others are all saying ha ye problem hai. I'll give you one example, okay. Let's say I think everybody agrees that the world of India is full of potholes, right? Imagine you could come up with a chemical, okay, which bonds the material that is there even in spite of the huge traffic load, even in spite of the huge, let's say, heavyweight traffic running, volume of traffic running. If you can find a chemical which can be used and it can bond the roads for a very long time. Let's assume there is no corruption, okay, in this whole thing, because that is something we cannot change, okay. Sorry to say this, but I know there is a lot of corruption on that level. But if you have that idea and if someone is able to buy this, okay, and you're able to build a product, you're able to build a pilot around that, you can get funded even at an idea stage, okay. And there are separate investors who fund at an idea stage, and then you get to do a pilot, and then at that time again you get the second round of capital, which we call seed capital. So I would encourage you to find a problem first. Yeah, you should never do a me too kind of thing. मतलब किसी ने ये चीज बनाया मैं उससे थोड़ा अच्छा बनाऊंगा. For that you have to be a Rapido as compared to an Uber. Okay, Rapido, for example, they made their entire system more efficient, much more efficient. In fact, Uber tried to buy off Rapido, it didn't work. But the reality is that Rapido came in much later, but they did a far, far better job and they are way ahead in terms of their growth and profitability. But again, this not everybody can do this. It's a very difficult thing. But if you find an idea, it can be a very small idea. Like there are women who have found health for kids. They found that their home remedy is very good and they didn't find that product anywhere. They went to a lot of people. They searched for their kid on the shelves, that particular product, but they couldn't find it. So they said, okay, why not I make it? And that has become a good startup because 10 people use it and say, oh, very good. And then someone says, hey, why don't you commercialize it? And there are housewives who have become entrepreneurs like that. So they found a problem which could not be solved, and that became a startup, right? I hope I answered your question, Kate.
So, that's a valuable insight, Ki. There should be a problem which you have to underline, and for that problem, you're finding out that solution.
Correct.
And the person who is investing in you should find the benefits so that they can invest. I hope it serves the answer. So let's move to the very important segment of our show today, which is known as the rapid fire round. So here I'll be asking you a few questions and I want you to answer them very quickly. So are you ready for that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'll try.
Title or impact, which matters more?
Impact, any day.
One word that describes your leadership style.
Me to we. I stopped thinking about myself.
Yes.
And I start thinking about others. In fact, my book that is coming out in another 2 months, it's titled A Journey from Me to We. So please think of this. Leadership starts when a mother stops, the moment a mother has a child in her body, she stops thinking about herself. She starts thinking, अगले सुबह से मुझे क्या खाना पड़ेगा? She stops perhaps eating things that she doesn't. Maybe she loved pizzas very much, but she stops pizzas and starts eating healthy food. So that's me to we. Okay, that's leadership. Okay, so I mean, I can connect every single thing. I mean, look at our corrupt politicians. Okay, for a moment, if they start thinking, how much can they consume, and they say, okay, let's stop thinking about myself. Let's do something for others in this world. Look at the impact they will. Look at the love they will get from the people. You know, so it's just about me to we for me.
Okay. So the biggest myth about European companies in India.
So I think the biggest myth would be that they pay very high salaries and there is less work. Okay. So that is not true. The salaries are very attractive, but believe me, you need to be extremely good in working for these kind of companies. You need to start thinking how can you produce two times more than in the same time. How can you do two times more as compared to someone else? It's like let's say you're a sales guy. You need to become a trained sales guy. When I say sales guy, anybody can think that, oh, I can talk very well. Let me go and sell. No, in fact, a good listener is the best sales guy. Okay, and the one who, for example, a guy who's a key account manager for a large company can make a huge impact. But then this concept of key account management comes from Europeans. We never had that concept that large accounts के लिए अलग सा sales team होना चाहिए. So I think that's the difference between a European company and an Indian company. Yeah, it's a myth that we think that everything is going to be easy. It's not.
Okay. So one book that changed how you think as a leader.
So this is I'm a fan of Simon Sinek. So start with the why. If you look at what he's trying to tell you all the time is, if you're not clear about why you're doing what you're doing, then you will never reach your goal. You will never be happy. You'll never be going at the end of the day. You'll feel drained. You'll never go back. But if you're clear about the why, and if that passion is driving you, you're bound to be successful. So it's a beautiful book. Everybody should read it. In fact, some of
Thank you,
its
Upanshu.
podcasts are also very good.
Mhm. So when you are in a crisis mode, what is the first thing you do?
I stop, I think,
Okay.
and then we need to just say that all is well, and pat yourself and say everything is well.
Okay. So you have a mentor, Andres. Could you tell me about him and what is that one thing he has taught you?
So so my mentor, he was my boss. Okay, and he in those days there was nothing like I never knew a word called marketing. I mean, I have seen it somewhere, but never understood what's marketing. Okay, and I had not done my management. I did my management later on as a 3 year part-time kind of thing because at that time I didn't have the money to get into NMIMS or Jamnal Bajaj. So he taught me DIMA. DIMA is direct marketing. Okay, and today we have social media, we have got emailing, we have got laptops and all that. In those days, we used to use PCXTs. Okay, so there were just entry level laptops coming into the market and so on, right? And the power of creating a database and mailing it to many people. In fact, that is what has become today a big business altogether. Okay, if you see social media, what does it use? It use the database, and what do? You communicate. Okay, पहले जमाने में क्या था हम लोग चिट्ठी भेजते थे. I remember still there were a lot of people who used to send brochures to thousands of people by mail, and the brochures to come today. You can't imagine what. But direct marketing was to get a database and start mailing them through the computer. And now what we do is we do through social media. We do through this. So the concept is the same, but that's what he taught me. That was one thing he taught me. The other thing was planning. Some a tool like Gantt chart. Okay, I never knew what's a Gantt chart, but at 27, he gave me my first Gantt chart, and he said, "This is what we want to do as a plan." And I was looking at how to work on it, And he sat down with me. He taught me that. The other thing was, I think I was very young, and one thing I noticed is he used to care for people. So when he had to rebuke somebody, he would call him in his cabin, sit, and he would not sit at the head table. He would sit at the table which is like an equal table. You're sitting in front, I'm sitting on the, let's say there is a big conference table. He would not take the head table side, but he would sit opposite to you and he would talk to you. That creates a extremely powerful equal kind of situation, and he would address you also by a very personal name and say, Subuu, these are the good things that you're doing, the top three things he will say. But can I tell you what more you can do for the company? He would never say you need to improve. It's a beautiful way to put a language. How, in fact, today, I think it's a thing for all HR managers and any manager, to think about this and say, how can you address your team and make them feel great? Okay. If your team feels great, they're going to do great work. But if they don't do, and I know, for example, that people leave companies not because they don't like the company. They actually don't get along with the boss. They don't feel comfortable anymore. They don't feel like getting up in the morning and saying, I want to go and contribute something there. You need to make people feel valuable. And those are three things that I learned from him. Amazing guy. His name was Andreas Kraut.
Okay, wonderful. So the last question for the day is complete this. Smart entrepreneurs are dash, others are dash. So what does smart entrepreneurship can be defined as?
So I would say smart entrepreneurs are extremely bold, daring, they dream big. And what is the second part?
Others are dash.
No, I would like to change that then. So smart entrepreneurs are into networking, while the others are just looking for work.
Lovely. Okay, so that's bring end to our show today. Behind the title, episode number 9. It was so good to have you, sir. We learned so much about the startups, entrepreneurship, how your experience at the Swiss, German, and Italian brands, and how we can nurture this culture into our Indian culture, right? So there is one quote which you always say: "Ki when you build people, it comes back."
Correct.
And truly, you are a reflection on that quote. I had an amazing opportunity to invite you today on our show behind the title, episode number 9. Thank you so much, sir. I would like you to end it with your last sentence.
So before I do the last sentence, I just want to correct. It was Andreas Wernley and not Andreas Kraut. Andreas Kraut was my superior in Bizerba. He was also a great guy. Okay. So I would like to tell all the entrepreneurs that dream big. Okay. And the world will dream along with you. Be assured of that. This is 100%. It happens to me. It will happen to everybody. Okay. And you don't, and it's not about making money. Okay. Making money is not success at all. Okay. It is when you feel really great about what you have done. When you look back and see that that's what I did. That's what I have created. And you have a smile on your face. That's success for me. Yes. I would like to wish all you, Upanshu, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I love doing that. You're a very smart young entrepreneur yourself. Okay. And all the viewers, good luck to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.